Hi friends, I'm Helen. I'm the national artist for Sephora Collection, and today on Beauty Newbie, I'm going to show you how to get a winged liner in just 3 easy steps. I recommend grabbing some tools that will make it super easy for you. Let's get started. To kick off this winged liner look, I'm using the number 22 brush. It's an angled eyeliner brush that's really thin. This will help you to trace out where you want your wing. You can use any brush that you have that is like a little thinner. So just make sure that you have something thin enough that you can really mark out your liner. And then I'm using a matte eyeshadow. Matte just means that it doesn't have any shimmer in it. So if you have a shimmer shadow, that's fine, but just be aware that it will make your eyeliner look a little bit shimmery underneath. So I'm going for something that doesn't have a ton of shimmer. And this is the Colorful Shadow by Sephora Collection, and it's 302 Roasted Chestnuts. You can use any shade that's a little bit deeper than your skin tone, and that's what's really gonna allow you to see where you're placing your wing. So just dip right into it, tap off any excess. And for this, you're really only marking out the wing. So starting from the bottom lash line, you always want to go from the bottom lash line as if it's going to be drawn up into the end of your brow. So if your brow and the bottom lash line were to connect somewhere out here, that's what's going to be the most lifting to look at. This brush also lends itself to doing like a stamping motion almost. So I'm just going to basically stamp from this bottom lash line up. And I might grab just a little more shadow. Doesn't have to be perfect because you're using shadow. It's really easy to basically wipe off any excess or anything you don't want to see. And then go in on the other eye, and I really recommend looking directly in the mirror, even looking a little farther away, so stepping away from your mirror, so that you can really stamp it on so it's even on both sides. So I like to look at it a few times and move my head back and forth, and just really make sure that it looks symmetric. If for some reason it's not symmetric, this is why you trace it out. So you can always remove a little bit on the top or bottom and then do it again until you have that symmetry. This looks pretty good to me. It's gonna be very lifting, and my eyes are kind of uneven. A lot of people's are, so just take a look at it. It might be that it's not the exact same way on one side than the other, but when you look far away, it is symmetric. The next step is to fill. So now that we have where we want to place the wing, we're just going to fill it in using the Hotline Brush Tip Liquid Liner. This is a really easy liquid liner. Any liquid liner will do it. That's really the best way to get a winged liner, is to use something that's liquid. It's a little bit tricky sometimes, but that's why we already marked out where we're gonna go with it. So be sure to shake down the ink. And for this, you're just going to fill where you already placed that eyeshadow. So I like to actually start placing the liner right against my lash line. This will just let you know how much ink is actually there so you don't get too thick too fast. So just press against your lashes and that'll really help. And sometimes you can do little dashes. It's up to you. Some people are really good at pulling it out and just pushing right against those lash lines to make sure that it's very symmetric and basically not a wobbly liner. But this is just a really easy way to make sure you have the amount of ink that you want on your pen and not too much. And then I like to do the wing. So take your liner, and I like to flip it this way and pull it down because the sharpest point is at the top, and that'll make it so that's the sharpest point of your winged liner. And once you have that, you can basically connect the 2 lines. And this is the part where you can really customize. So if you're like me and you have smaller eyes, or your eyes can look like they're really close together, if you put too much dark on the inner corners, you could leave it just like this. Basically, the trick here is to look directly in the mirror, and wherever your iris lies, that is at the very edge of your iris, that is where your black liner will start. And then you have this, and that's it. If you want to go for like a more dramatic look, or let's say you're wearing a lot more eyeshadow, or you have much bigger eyes, you can go all the way across with your liner. So I like to do this too. And you just go all the way across. And again, use your lashes as your guide. That will prevent your liner from getting too thick really fast. That happens all the time. And this is just an easy guide that's already built in. So now I have that side. Take a deep breath. We are now going to do the other side, which is always the trickiest part. So the trick really with getting the other side is I always recommend if you have a weaker side, which you'll start to notice as you do liner more and more, that one side's always way harder to get than the other. Start with that one because then the other side will be way easier to get symmetry. And then also work really slow. There's no rush here, and the slower you go, I feel like the easier and more steady your hand is. And then right before you mark your liner, always breathe out, and that will really help you with your aim. The last and final step is to perfect, and pretty much you always have to do some little bit of perfecting. You might get to be a super master at this and be able to, you know, just throw the liner on without any imperfections, but this is the easy way to perfect it. So take that same skinny brush, it can be any skinny brush that you have. I'm using the same number 22. And I'm going to use a waterproof makeup remover. This is the waterproof eye makeup remover by Sephora Collection, but it can be any waterproof remover. And shake it up. And I always put maybe a little bit in a napkin because I don't really want too much on my brush, just a little bit. So I almost painted on my brush. And even I had a little bit of an imperfection when I did it. So it happens to the best of us. And you can see here, there's like a little bit of a wobbly line on this side, whereas this side, it's really nice and straight. So taking that straight edge and just really gently and slowly going against that line to clean it up a little. And it goes away right away. This is another way that people create that like really thin tapered edge too. So you could always try that trick too. I slipped a little with my liner here. So just removing there. And just be sure to tap off any excess makeup remover and you've got it. We did it! Now that you know how to do winged liner, just keep practicing those steps of trace, fill, and perfect, and I swear you'll get it in no time. If you want more beauty tips, be sure to check out our IGTV with Beauty Newbie. And until next time, bye y'all!